Greetings, terrestrials! Today is August 19th, 2021, and here we are. The Earth is in retrograde, and these are some strange times indeed. That's right, you're watching Strange Times Indeed with Cliff McCallister. I, of course, your host, Cliff McCallister, the czar of the bizarre. Every week on this show, we take your calls to hear about your experiences with the unexplained, the paranormal, be it ghosts, extraterrestrials, or interdimensional beings. All those things we have right here on Strange Times Indeed with Cliff McCallister. We open the phone lines every week, but not this week. And here's why. Here's the reasoning why we're not opening the phone lines this week. Well, our good friend Steven is out of town, so we are running things right here in studio. I've got the whole tech set up. I can control all the little things. So, whoa, how cool is that? I'm running the whole show on my own, so we're not taking calls tonight because I have to install extra software to make that work. Woo, the tea is hot tonight, folks. Howdy, Barefoot and 52, and howdy to everybody joining us right here for Strange Times Indeed with Cliff McCallister. We got some top news tonight, some top pressing news. This is coming out of Point Pleasant, West Virginia, the original home of the Mothman. Unfortunately, sad news, my friends. The Mothman Festival, the 20th anniversary of the Mothman Festival, the 20th anniversary year. This year's Mothman Festival has once again, the second time in a row, the Mothman Festival has been canceled due to the COVID coronavirus pandemic. I'm telling you folks, if you are not vaccinated, now is the time to do it. Everybody who goes into the hospital, probably on their way to the end with this Delta variant, is saying to folks, they're saying to the nurses, gosh, I wish I had that vaccine. So think about it. If you're watching and you have not done it, it's the easiest way to, I don't know, not have a giant second spread of this virus and kill a bunch of people. So please consider it. A message from Strange Times Indeed with Cliff McCallister. I wanted to shout out some folks who were who were planning to be vending at that event. This is a big event, the Mothman Festival, for a lot of cryptid businesses and paranormal-themed folks like myself. And so a lot of weirdo vendors got a lot of things there. So let me see if I can find that. Let's see. Oh, here was one. Mystic Novelty Co. on Instagram. Mystic Novelty Co. They have some great, like, paranormal-themed artwork. I'm sure Strangeology was probably going. Look, the Mystic Novelty Co. They got these, like, Snallygaster tea towels. You could have gotten something like that at the Mothman Festival. Go check them out, because they're not going to be there at the thing. Bleak and accurate. Hey, Mr. Connor Dolson, welcome back. Or Mr. C. Dolson. Well, I hope that's okay. Let me know if not, then I'll be more careful in the future. So there we go. That's very unfortunate that this is what is happening. We have no Mothman Festival this year. We cannot gather around the big, beefy, shiny Mothman in Point Pleasant to celebrate the anniversary of a bridge collapse, which is actually, I do not believe the festival falls on the anniversary, but perhaps the anniversary of the first sighting of the Mothman. I'm not sure exactly when it falls, but if I had to guess, that. There will be no gathering around the big, beefy, shiny Mothman. So, sad news for those of us in the community, and Mothman, I hope you get better. Speaking of Mothman, as you might remember, a top story from last week. Now, this was a pretty impressive Mothman sighting that was corroborated by 3 witnesses at the time. We now have 2 more corroborations of this that I'm going to go ahead and read here. This is again from Singular Fortean and has been covering this phenomenon pretty closely. 2 different, and this one anonymous now, because people are tightening up about the Chicago O'Hare Mothman, and people are keeping that more under wraps, in that they are saying, maybe don't tell people that this thing is here, or you'll get fired. So here is the first story, the first witness account. that is corroborating the other ones, but this is coming from a different source, not one of the three who were in the original party who witnessed the Mothman. Just another perspective. I saw your article about the flying creature at O'Hare and wanted to reach out to you and tell you what I saw on that night. I'm reaching out to tell you this story, but do not want any information being given out to the public because I will not risk losing my job over this. Well, I will not want any of my information coming out. We've been told by our supervisors to never report anything that we saw to anybody outside of the company. So, I am taking a chance reporting this to you. We were unloading a cargo plane that had just arrived from the Miami hub when a couple of people noticed this large person that was standing over by the fence about 40 feet from the plane. It was tall, about 7 feet, and was completely black with some solid, red, glowing eyes. We radioed it in since we figured it was some idiot that might have scaled the fence and was wandering around the tarmac. We are told to report anything suspicious we see to our supervisors, who will then call in security and take that person away. The security people came within 3 minutes of our call and shined some lights on it. When we saw it, it was black and had a large pair of wings. It then took off into the air, making a loud sound before flying off. After it flew off, a bunch of other people showed up, including many of our supervisors. We all heard about the things that are seen around the airport, including the Mothman, but I never believed it until I saw it with my own eyes. I talked about it with some of my friends, and they saw the same thing. But we are not going to say anything because we are told at our meeting that we were not to report anything we saw to anybody but our supervisors. We were told, do not report it to the news or anybody who have asked about what you have seen at the airport. I am submitting this to you, but I want to remain anonymous because I have had this job since I left the previous job, and I don't want to lose my job and my benefits. I have been here over 6 years and have a family to support and cannot risk losing my job over something like this. I know it sounds incredible, but I can promise you that I am not telling you any lies, that everything I told you happened. I know there were at least 8 of us working on the plane, not counting any supervisors or tug operators around the area. I am doing what I can to prevent my name from being posted or somebody from my company finding out that I reported this. I am willing to talk only by email. That is it. No, I will not risk losing my job over this report, and I will not risk my name being put out and people thinking I have lost my absolute mind. Can you believe that? This is the stigmatization. This is the stigmatization that people face when they talk about these things. Not only are they worried about that people will lose their jobs, but that people will think they've lost their minds. You'll lose your jobs and your minds, but that in fact is not happening. You're just opening your eyes to the true world around you, and I think it's time we all look around us and acknowledge things are off, things are weird. The Earth itself is in retrograde. So lean into it and look for that weird, and don't be afraid to speak about it. Unless, of course, your employer is threatening to fire you if you do, and you cannot afford to lose that job, because it's your solid only job for 6 years. Here we go. All right. Further on, a little more interesting. This coming in, one of the reporters from Singular Fortean, or who spoke to Singular Fortean, had a source inside of the airport who was able to kind of corroborate some of these stories as well, or some of these instances. And he wrote back in reply to an inquiry about this one. He said, I'm sorry for not wanting to talk over the phone, but they called a meeting yesterday before we started work, and we were told that for security purposes, we were prohibited from talking to anyone regarding these sightings. We were told that they have determined that it was a large seagull or heron, and there was nothing unusual about it. But for the sake of security, we are prohibited from talking about it, and that if we did, it could lead to an immediate termination. So you can see why I'm not willing to talk over the phone. So there we go. Things are heating up. The dial is turning up over there at O'Hare. The Mothman sightings are increasing and increasingly corroborated. And they're trying to keep it on the hush-hush. If it's just a heron, then just say it was a heron. There's no bird rule at the airport. The whole thing is there for birds, just big robot birds. Now here's another one, another instance. This was a MUFON report that came in from the Mutual UFO Network about that same incident. It says this: I am part of the ground crew for a major air cargo facility at O'Hare, and we were working on unloading a cargo plane that had arrived that evening. I was operating one of its lifts, and that lifts cargo containers down from the plane into the ground. It was about 10 at night when a call came over the radios that there was report of an unknown person being seen on the tarmac near the fence. I began looking around and saw a large man standing approximately 50 feet away from us near the fence, separating us from the road. He must have been close to 7 feet tall, but I was not close enough to tell for sure. He was wearing what looked like a black coat and was just standing there. I radioed my supervisor that I saw someone over by the fence, and my supervisor ran over to where I was at. By this time, the entire ground crew was aware of this man's presence and radioing to their supervisors. It must have been no more than 20 seconds after that the first of many airport security vehicles showed up. One approached the man from the other side of the fence, while another two drove past us and stopped short of the man, who by this time was easier to see with the car lights on him. I did not look like any man I had ever seen. He was solid black and had red eyes that had been reflecting the lights like cat's eyes. It also had wings that were now spread open and must have been 15 feet, tip to tip. This man let out a loud screech that sounded a lot like a barn owl when it tried to warn you away. The man then started flapping its wings and took off. You could hear the sound of the wings as it took off into the air and was gone in seconds. I was honestly scared for my life and started to pray for protection. I know in this world that demons walk among us, and I was certain that whatever this thing was, it had this had to be demonic and an agent of the devil. A lot of my co-workers were also very frightened after this thing took off, and many of them ran inside and to the safety of the plane when it took off. I am certain that this was a demon, and it must have been sent here to frighten us. So there you go, a report from the Mutual UFO Network. Not a place where people often report on demon sightings. But some do believe that the demons and the extraterrestrials are intertwined. We're not getting into that theory tonight on the show, though, but there it is. The red eyes of the Mothman. We now have 5 reports. 5 reports. 1 initial sighting, 2 corroborating ones, and 1 that was independently submitted to the Mutual UFO Network. This is a big thing. But they're telling us it's a heron. They're telling us it's a weather balloon. They might as well. Speaking of telling us it's a weather balloon, I promised you all last week we were going to get into this. We were going to get into this close and in detail. I have read the full, officially released Unidentified Aerial Phenomenon Report. I'm going to pull that up right now because I've got some points on it. Oh no, it's in the same window as this program. Hold on one second. We've got to do some last minute tech work. There we go. Rolling solo tonight, my friends. All right, here we go. This is the takeaways from the Preliminary Assessment for Unidentified Aerial Phenomenon. This was submitted as an unclassified report from the Unidentified Aerial Phenomenon Task Force, which was created. Here we go. Let me see if the story is in there. I know it's written out. Here we go. This preliminary report is provided by the Office of the Director of National Intelligence in response to a provision in Senate Report 116-233 accompanying the Intelligence Authorization Act for fiscal year 2021 that the Director of National Intelligence, in consultation with the Secretary of Defense, is to submit an intelligence assessment of the threat posed by unidentified aerial phenomenon, which is big government term for unidentified flying objects, and the progress the Department of Defense Unidentified Aerial Phenomenon Task Force has made in understanding this threat. So there you have it. This is the basis for this report, and this is how it was brought about. And this is the executive summary. is that the limited amount of high-quality reporting or unidentified aerial phenomenon hampers our ability to draw firm conclusions about the natures and intent of unidentified aerial phenomenon. So there you have it. The UAPs are so poorly reported that the government does not can't really say what they are. But here are some takeaways beyond that. Of course, any government report like this issued to the public is going to be a little wishy-washy. You know, they know a lot more than they do, but you gotta at least do the soft acknowledgement on your way in. You gotta dip your toe in the water of the existence of UAPs and the possible connection to extraterrestrial life when you've been hovering it around this long. People aren't paying attention to shows like this. They don't know that it's out there. And maybe it will cause mass hysteria, or at least that was the whole War of the Worlds concept. I remember from last week, working on the show, I did get a message that I have to cushion the blow of my cup when I set it down. So this is for the ears of those of you watching at home. Always consider it, because you probably think, what the heck is that, every couple seconds, and then it stops. Where was I? The government reporting on UAPs. Here is some of the takeaways. Because of the Unidentified Aerial Phenomenon Task Force that was set up, they were reviewing reports that occurred between 2004 and 2021. At some point in 2004, they created a process for documenting unidentified aerial phenomenon incidents. So, though that has not been used frequently, it has been used to some effect. So they had some official reporting that they could go off of. Now, most unidentified aerial phenomenons reported probably do represent physical objects, given that a majority of UAPs were registered across multiple sensors that include radar, infrared, electro-optical, weapon seekers, and visual observation. Going through the report, they say that there are probably multiple types of UAPs that require different explanations, and they think there are 5 possible categories of exploration, of explanation, and those are as follows. That is to be, let's get to it, hold on. Well, I'm going from the Reader's Digest version, so we're going to work our way back up. Once I find where the thing is highlighted on the UAPs. Where is it? Here it is. Okay. The 5 possible explanations for what these are. There's airborne clutter, which are objects like balloons and birds, or recreational unmanned aerial vehicles. There are natural atmospheric phenomenons, which could include ice crystals, moisture, and thermal fluctuations. There is industry development programs. These are observations that could be attributed to developments and classified programs by U.S. entities. So something that we are working on as an official government thing, or something that some war profiteers like Lockheed Martin are building that is top secret but being paid for by the government. Or there are foreign adversary systems, which are technologies developed by, specifically noted here, China, Russia, another nation, or a non-governmental entity. Say what you will about that pre-targeting there. And then other, although most of the UAPs described in our data set probably remain unidentified due to limited data challenges to the collection or process of analysis, we may require additional scientific knowledge to successfully collect on, analyze, or characterize some of them. The UAPTF, which is the Unidentified Aerial Phenomenon Task Force, intends to focus additional analysis on the small number of cases where the UAP appeared to display unusual flight characteristics or signature management. So there you go. Even there, other is not necessarily classified in this government report as being from beyond this world. But it is something other that cannot be explained, that is also not from another country and not from us. So what else could it be? Who's to say? Which really, I think, kind of opens the door to many possible thinkings. It really leaves the audience guessing. What is it? Where is it coming from? Are these truly coming from outer space? Is this an advanced species from below the sea that has existed since the beginning of time? A species more advanced than us? Or perhaps are these some sort of interdimensional beings or fluctuations in the space-time continuum? Lord knows that everybody loves a multiverse story right now. So it could play out to be any number of those things, but the foot is in the door, and when we're talking about why people aren't reporting these things, they are collecting things that have been large, at least for this report, they're focusing on things that have been largely witnessed firsthand by military aviators. And they said, of the reports, there are 144 reports. And they said, we were able to identify one reported UAP with high confidence. In that case, we identified the object as a large deflating balloon, a favorite for the government, of course. The others remained unexplained. 144 reports originated from U.S. government sources. Of these, 80 reports involved observations with multiple sensors. Most reports described UAPs as objects that interrupted pre-planned trainings or other military activity. And what they buried the lead on here, what they do say is, in this report, they note that a large amount of the observations seem to happen. Here we go. Most UAP sightings recorded in these observations occurred over U.S. training and testing grounds. And what they bury the lead on here is that the majority of these reports are coming from the U.S. Navy. And if you have been following the show, I do have to ask you, where's the U.S. Navy doing their training? It's over the open water. It's these ships that are perhaps not coming out of the sky, but coming from up from the water, or descending down into it, and disrupting these government trainings out in the sea. So it is out there. Hello, friends. Thank you so much for tuning in. So there's no specific reporting of them happening over water. They do not mention that specifically, but it's hinted at there. It's in the subtext. Most of these being U.S. Navy sightings. Let's see. Anything else worth noting? Here we go. A handful of UAPs appear to demonstrate advanced technology. In 18 incidents described in 21 reports, observers reported unusual UAP movement patterns or flight characteristics. Some UAPs appear to remain stationary in winds aloft, move against the wind, maneuver abruptly, or move at considerable speed without discernible means of propulsion. In a small number of cases, military aircraft systems process radio frequency energies associated with these UAP sightings, so they're also giving off like radio signals and disrupting those. We are conducting further analysis to determine if breakthrough technologies were demonstrated. So there we go. That's really the breakdown. There's a slight concern that they pose a safety to flight with all added things in the sky. It's dangerous to be an airplane. And of course, if it's from a foreign power, they're worried about that. Now, interestingly enough, all this stuff is coming out, and people are going, well, who's going to do the research? They're trying they are working to set things up so everyone has a similar reporting process. Every government agency has a way to report something like this, and how it interacts and does what it does, so they can have a clear sight of it, or at least every, armed forces agency. That seems to be the only one. So no offense to anyone viewing, but I don't think there's creating a specific reporting process for employees who work at the patent office. But if there is, I would love to know what that is. So loop me in. Here we go. But they are trying to standardize that so they can get more reports from other agencies. And a lot of people are kind of turning their eyes to the skies on this one, as one might, and saying, well, look, we've got a bunch of armed forces that are focused on arming forces on the ground, for better or worse. And we've got one that's really was just kind of set up as a goof, and we all played into it, and now it's a real thing. And that's the Space Force, folks. And the Space Force is saying, no, we don't want this. We don't want this. We don't want to be the UFO guys. And folks, if you're the Space Force and you're not going to be the UFO guys, then what the heck did we create you for? Don't answer that question. We all know why, But, like, if they're not going to be the UFO guys, why are they there? Why do we have them? A waste of space in more ways than one. Wasn't paying attention right then. That's okay. That's okay. I don't know if you missed it. I said, oh, here's what I said. I said, if you work at the patent office and they're standardizing UFO reporting scenarios, forms, and all that jazz for all the government agencies and not just the military ones, I'm like, how do they report it in context of patent work? I was in the office and I was glancing out my window. How were you distracted at work today enough to notice an unidentified flying object, an unidentified aerial phenomenon, as we call them in government reports? All right. Well, there we go. That covers the top stories for tonight, folks. We're going to take a quick commercial break, and then we'll be right back here with more Strange Times Indeed with Cliff McCallister. Stay strange, terrestrials.
Well, that's not a way to start a comedy. With an execution? That's just basic dramatic writing. Don't start with beheadings. Audiences don't want plays about terror and death.
This is a play that is happening in Olaf's head as she's going to, walking up the stairs, getting ready to have her head chopped off. So it is not a piece of realism in my head. We're going to be a little bit broad with this. It's a comedy, and I want there to be a lot of movement. I want there to be a lot of activity happening. Start to think about how your characters move. This is not just going to be a sitting and talking to each other kind of play. It's going to be very active. It's going to be up and around, and lots going on.
Cut that thing, serves it right.
Oh my God, Marianne!
I know, this is crazy to just show up like this, but hello and surprise.
Hello and surprise! Oh my God, for a second I thought you were the National Guard.
Are they coming for the writers already?
Only the important ones.
Greetings, terrestrials! The date is August 19th, 2021. The Earth is in retrograde, and these are some strange times indeed. You're watching Strange Times Indeed, of course, with Cliff McCallister. I, of course, your host, Cliff McCallister, the Czar of the Bizarre. Every week on this show, we take the time to hear from you, the viewer, to find out what you've experienced out there in the world, to get the eyewitness reports about sightings of UFOs, extraterrestrials, interdimensional beings, cryptids, ghosts, spirits, all of those things. But of course, we're not opening the phone lines tonight because here I am without our typical tech guy, and here I am, somebody who, classic procrastinator, has not downloaded the extra software to make it possible to do Zoom calls on this. Also, I think our Wi-Fi, though with the updated router, is still just chugging along. Here we go, sorry. Some great bird facts in the chat here tonight, if you are watching along. I honestly do not know how to pronounce this word, so we are just going to keep rolling with the program. But if you're having fun in the chat, keep having fun in there. That is where the community gets built. And hey, if you want to be a part of the Strange Times Indeed community, support our show. Give us a support on patreon.com/StrangeTimesIndeed. There you can get bonus stuff, all those extra things, and you can get access to our Discord where you can chat with friends 24/7 if you like. We'll all be in there, the Strange Times Indeed community, to support you. And if you've ever called into the show, send me a message if you're not on the Discord, and I'll get you right on there. Special access, just for anyone who's called in, because you're a part of the community, you're a part of this group. Uh-oh. Okay, the anagram fascists are in the chat. Alright, okay, everyone, let's keep this fascism down to a minimum, please. We are rocking and rolling into a good night here, my friends, and I wanted to share with you some fun stuff, some interesting, some stuff that's a little off the cuff, something that's a little different than what we usually talk about here on the show, but I just felt like I wanted to be honest with you all tonight. Because I'm here alone, I'm doing my musings, as I tend to do. Oh my gosh. Sorry, we've got to get past this song. I know the next one is just what we need for the vibe shift. So as I said, I've been musing here in the studio. Let's bring it in a little closer for an intimate conversation. About life and such things. And as some of you who watch the show may know, I disappeared into the woods for the past summer, and oh, the time I had there. And I was in there just doing my personal discovery with the deep forest spirits. And I found a space where I felt fully comfortable to explore an element of myself that I think has probably always been there, but not quite prominent. Not quite something that I was fully aware of, as we all do. As we grow, we have these moments of self-discovery. And a while ago, I have been doing, this is going to be a long road to a very silly thing. Sorry to call it silly, myself. But I've been, in the past year, events have occurred, and I've been doing things to better myself, and one of those things I've been meditating. And for a good chunk of time, I'm out of practice right now. Sorry. But I will be back in practice soon. And I'm getting back in practice. But for a good chunk of time, I was doing it twice a day. Every day. And one day, in meditating, as we do on the show, the act of meditation is something that really kind of is done in a way that will kind of bring you out of your body. Not necessarily saying you're having an out-of-body experience, but you're sitting still with intention of you are this mind, you are this consciousness, you are this essence. And I just had this kind of realization of a number of things, kind of a bunch of little different dots lit up and connected. And I said, oh my gosh, I'm genderqueer was what I thought immediately at the moment. And then as I worked and refined it, I've come to find that I am a gender fluid thing. A thing is I think the term that I prefer the most for myself. If you were to say, oh, that's a boy, that's a girl, that's a thing, I kind of honestly, I delight in that. And whatever this thing that I am is, sometimes it's more of a gal, and when it's here, it's a little more of a guy, but not by that much, to be honest. I mean, I'm wearing a skirt right now, folks. I'll show you in a bit. And so it just is this a fluidity. It changes from time to time. I will find that I experience different genders in different moments. But where I have found that I am the most comfy cozy is sitting at home in a skirt. Honestly, for the longest time in my life, I will wear jeans or pants long into the summer until I am forced to be outside at such a regular pace, at such a frequency, that I will be hot, that I will switch into shorts. And there was just something about shorts that I never quite figured out what I liked about them. There was nothing about them that felt comfortable at any length. Until I discovered the maxi skirt, It's a skirt, it has the flow, you can get some breeze in there. But it just fits right, and I don't know, I like a piece of outfit that flows on you. More so than I don't know, not a miniskirt kind of gal. Not yet, at least. Let's see. Oh, thank you to everybody in the chat. I thank you to everybody for joining us for this casual flyer. Now there's no need for name calling. I'm not sure if that was... Did I say that? Did I call somebody a name? Did I call me a name? I don't know. Alright, so... That's the thing. Oh, no, Casual Flyer the Chatter. This is a beautiful thing, I love you. So, that's what kind of, where I am, and really what I wanted to talk about tonight is, I don't know, be open and honest with this community about who I am and where we're coming on the show. My pronouns of given choice that I will mostly put on documents and whatnot, or he... Oh, other side, sorry. It's mirrored on my screen, and that always throws me off. We got the old he, him is fine. After all, I do have a mustache. Now, anyone can have a mustache of any gender, after all. I am this thing. I am this thing that is traveling through the cosmos. And they, them. For this wild thing that I am, and honestly, if you want to use the its pronoun, I also find that as delightful as being a thing. In the words of Gordon Cole, FBI director, fix your hearts or die. If you're not willing to accept what I am bringing to the table here. Because that's just who I am. Alright, we gotta check the focus here. Hold on. We've lost the focus. Sometimes the good technology is very good until it reaches a point. Alright, chat, let's focus on Cliff right now. They're sharing some lovely stuff with us. Hey, thanks. Thank you, Prince of Boxes. Right now, what I am determined to share with you is a nice soft focus that will get it back to the point where I can rest in the chair while we talk about this. Gosh, what else did I even want to talk about? Now that I've said it, it seems so silly. I have to lean in like this for the rest of me coming out on the air. I suppose that's really all I needed to say. I don't know, ask me some questions in the chat, folks. I really thought I might have a little bit more to say than this, but then I said it, and it was like, wow, there it is. And it's out there, and how much more can I say other than this is who I am, this is what I do. I am going to go to the little festivals, and I'm going to wear a skirt. And I'm going to be a handsome little devil when I do. Although here's the thing, and here's why I kind of like the idea of the it pronoun. I was just making sure Cliff knew he didn't call anyone a name. Look, see, sometimes I interact with the chat and it causes its own chaos. As a friend of mine said in a conversation later, this focus is driving me crazy, folks, because I'm sorry, I went to film school, and it will not autofocus. Let's see if... Hold on one sec, sorry. Let's do this. There we go, okay, thank you. Sorry, sometimes you gotta be a diva. You want your show to look right when you're having an intimate evening with your pals. So what was I saying? Yes, I didn't call anybody a name. Hey everybody, thanks. Oh, thanks for calling attention to me in the chat. What was I saying? Where was I? Gosh darn it. I can understand the nice of a nice breeze down there. Yes, exactly. Like, it's just... And sometimes that just, like, it fits a little more right on the person. And I feel like that's just kind of where I exist. Oh, why I take a little bit of delight in the it pronoun is I think when I am walking down the street, I want people to see me and think, whoa, now there goes a cutie, or what the fuck is that thing? And I would delight in either. And that's really what it is. It's about finding that joy and finding that euphoria. Gender euphoria, as some call it. I just like to think of it as general lifetime euphoria. Cliff, you're just too pretty for the camera to focus. Well, thank you. Thank you. I shave before every broadcast. But I'm this old gal. Well, my mustache is a woman. This old gal. So, where was I? That is what I want people to think of me. I think that is nice. So you can play with that if you want, but I feel like that's so much work to explain on papers. And I'll be honest, because I've been he, him my whole life up until like a couple of months ago. And even now, friends of mine will use the they, them pronoun for me, and I will pause, and I will go, who are they talking about? And then I'll be like, oh, they're talking about me. how nice, what a surprise. Someone's talking about me. And so, you know, he is fine, they is fine. Honestly, anything is fine. Just if that's the vibe I'm throwing out, go for it. But don't force it if I'm not throwing it out there, you know. If not, I'm just like, I feel like half the time your gender doesn't even matter. You're just sitting at a desk doing whatever. You're making your little show. I mean, sometimes it matters all the time. But not all the time. Sometimes you're just a blob. But what are we? Here's the thing, is what I found very nice about meditating is the exploration, the discoveration for me of my gender fluidity, it feels like such a spiritual thing. And I think that's what a lot of people don't really realize about folks who are queer, is like, it's not a choice other than I am choosing to fully acknowledge every element of who I am, and to love every element of who I am, and to have an experience of who I am as a spiritual entity in this dimension, and to sit inside my body and realize that what I am is not fully reflected of what is my body, and what my body is made of, and what my body looks like. That does not define this. And gender is not something that is defined here. It's here. And here. So there you go. How about that? Put that on a shirt and sell it. So that's it. I'm canonically gender fluid. That's who I am. And so if you're watching the show, there you go. So I just wanted to be open and honest with folks in the audience about that, because this is what you're tuning in for. This is somebody who I think you have been enjoying for the past year, and I just wanted to make it extra special clear to every single person out there that this is me. This is what I bring to the table every week. This is our show. This is ingrained in the fabric of my being. And it will be a part of me. And, you know, you're not going to stop that. There's nothing you can do. And so here I am. And I'm telling you, folks, if you're feeling something like that, if you've got these inklings that maybe you'd feel more comfortable in a skirt than some shorts, put it out, give it a try. You don't have to go out and walk down the street that way. You can do it in your own house. The earth is in retrograde, my friends. These are weird times. Lean into that weird and find comfort in it. Find your home there in the weird. Well, that's all I have to say tonight. It's 9:47, so we'll do a quick Ask Me Anything. If you have any questions about anything, go ahead and type it out in the chat. And we'll see how we go, and if nobody has any, oh, hey, let's do this. Look at this, a little fashion show for you, the viewer. All right, hold on. Let's get this set up. Whoa, 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 whoa. Spinning the camera. Boink. Boink. So this is what we're working with. I got this thing off of Etsy. I absolutely love it. Look at this. Look at this. The sparkles, the shine, the magnificence, the wonder. Whoa. So there you go. And it flows. So, ooh, it just ripples. It's great. Except it's far too low to the ground for stairs right now. It's something I am slowly working on making better and better, but even doing, like, I did a photo shoot with my good friend Isaac, and Star Trek vibes. Yes, it feels very much like something they would put on, like, a lunar rover, but much softer. Nice to feel. What was I saying? Oh, I was doing a little photo shoot at the Bunnyman Bridge with our good friend Isaac, and, like, the thing is, for the longest time, everyone here has seen me from here up, from the chest up. So it's the first time I've had to intentionally put on bottoms for a picture. For the longest time, I've been doing the show in pajama pants. Because after all, we started doing the show during quarantine. Were we ever going to put on real pants while we were inside? Are we ever going to have to put on real pants again? I really don't know. I'm done with it. If you, Cliff, could make a modification to the standard skirt in a way of utility, what would you do? Well, here's the first one, folks. It'd be institutionalized pockets. Like, I know there are skirts with pockets in it. I know they exist, but none of mine have them yet. And for someone who was a guy for however long, that's a hard transition. It's hard to lose those pockets. Oh my gosh. Pockets, it must be institutionalized. Though there is some freedom to not having to worry about where the front and the back is. But I will think on another one as well. Gosh, what was I talking about before that? Oh well. So yeah, that's it. If I could, I don't know. Here, this would be good. If you could have, I would love. I don't know if it provides a real utility, more as a fashion note, but maybe you hide some like LEDs at the bottom, like on the inside. So there's like, not in a way that makes it transparent or anything, but just creates like a glow from beneath. I think that'd be cool. Very spacey. So if you're my designer and you're watching tonight, that might be an idea. You could wear a utility belt with it. Now see, here's the thing. I've also never really liked belts. Utility belts are even bigger. And it's like, as far as masculine things that I'm done with, belts got to be top of the list. So that's no more belts, please. No more things that require belts. We've moved on beyond the need for that. What a big bulky thing around my waist. Let's see. Hey, if you could describe your gender as a natural phenomenon like northern lights or Karst Cave or a waterfall, how would you describe it? Oh my gosh. Well, honestly, since you mention it, I will explain this so it's not like a cop-out of an answer, but I do think Northern Lights might be the way to go. I think that's a beautiful and strange phenomenon, which maybe I'll put that on the business card. A beautiful and strange phenomenon. That's like we know what it is. It's something that can be explained, but I think a lot of the attraction to it is it's just so bizarre, so out there that it's very spacey, and it brings space down to earth, and it captures that magic and pulls it in. And it just exists in this weird unknown space that is weird but wonderful. And so I think that would be it. Like those LEDs that people mount on the underside. Yes, I did kind of have that thought when I was thinking about it. And I was like, I don't like it when it's on cars. Like, I kind of do. I kind of do. Like in a Blade Runner kind of way. But I don't know, I'm very mixed on how I feel about those. But I think it could be a fun spacey thing under a skirt. Cliff, that's lovely. Thank you for sharing. Hey, well, thank you for asking that question. I think especially I think for genderqueer folks like myself, I think that's a great question. Like, I'm gonna remember that if I am talking to friends who I feel comfortable talking that intimately about gender with. But here I am for 11 of you, and I know who some of you are. I probably know who most of you are, but there we go. Well, Line 54? I think that was a great question to go out on. So there it is, everybody. That's been Strange Times Indeed with Cliff McCallister this week. I, of course, have been your host, Cliff McCallister, the Czar of the Bizarre. Thanks so much to each and every one of you for tuning in. I could not do this show without you. I honestly, doing this show is the highlight of my week. So I thank you so much for tuning in every week, for joining us here in the chat. You are wonderful. Thank you so much to each and every one of you. Thank you to our Patreon backers. Like I said, if you want more of the show, if you want to join us on Discord, talk about extraterrestrials, cryptids, all that fun stuff, any time of day, 24/7, you can join us in the Discord. Our good friend Sleeping Zebra, I don't believe she's in the chat tonight. She might have been earlier. Is over there. I'm over there, Steven's over there, a few others are over there, and we are slowly getting the train started, but we need some folks to hop in there and join us in that community and say, hey, I saw this news story about things. It's cool. I'm doing it some, but I need other people to join me. So join us. Join us on Patreon. If you've ever called into the show and you want to join that Discord, drop me a line. I will make sure you get that login information. I love you all so much. Thank you so much for tuning in. Each and every one of you are special little space angels. And I love doing this show for you every week. So until next week, which actually I'm not going to be on the air next week. As much as I love you all, I am taking a little week off. I'm having a night off and a night on town. So join me the week after next week. And we will have some wonderful, beautifully strange times there. Until then, stay strange, terrestrials. So much tea, so much tea. I don't know who Casual Flyer was. Thank you. Were you Casual Flyer? In the chat? I have no clue who that is. No clue who that is. I'm still mic'd. Holy moly. I did not realize. Well, oh my goodness. Well, if you're still watching, I hope you're having a wonderful time here at home. After all, you do have 4 more minutes left in your evening that you have dedicated this time, of course, to watching Strange Times Indeed with Cliff McCallister. Boy, oh boy, what a show you must have enjoyed tonight. I bet some pretty crazy things happened on that show. Well, oh, hey, look, folks, here it is. Cliff McCallister, the Czar of the Bizarre, joining us here in studio. Cliff, how do you think the show went tonight? Oh, hey there, Johnny, I thought it went pretty well. I had, I got a little honest on the show tonight, but it was, I think, something that I needed to do, and something that maybe some people who weren't watching the show needed to hear. And I just thought it was a nice time for everyone involved. Oh, well, that's good. You would say most people are who watch the show are like-minded individuals to you? Well, I don't know if I'd say they're like-minded. Everyone has their own minds that cannot be explained in any sort of magical way. But I do think that the folks who do watch the show are very open-minded. They are folks who are seekers of the strange, seekers of the bizarre. Some of them are in the secret society for Seekers of the Bizarre, our Strange Times Patreon. And, they're open-minded. They believe in things like extraterrestrials and cryptids and things like that. And I love them. I love each and every one of them. I think we could not do the show without them every week. Because otherwise, this would just be a pure exercise in narcissism or really just a sad man in front of a mirror. Oh, yes, I see that, Cliff. That does make sense. Yeah, so really, I'm fortunate that I have this thing in my life where I can do this. Otherwise, most people just think I'm kind of like a loon who lives alone in a shed in the middle of the woods. Yes, well, yeah, we were actually wondering about that, Cliff. Like, what do you do every week when you're not going live on the show? Well, I spend a lot of that time going out